What's up all my Ewoks, shovels, droids, and Wookiees? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how Roland Emmerich has made this declaration out into the world that Marvel, and DC, and Star Wars are ruining cinema as we know it. Dun dun dun! Alrighty, so, I was perusing the Googles looking up, Star Wars news and what's going on in the world since I'm kind of diving back into, the social media and the internet's realm after, taking a little hiatus on my channel to get, some intense work done for all of, like, my calendar stuff. And I was like, what else is going on in the world? Joe Rogan's getting canceled. Boba Fett has become Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker, maybe out of which I'm not complaining about. But, I saw this and I was like, Now, a few years ago, who was it? The dude that did the movies that I don't like, which everyone hates me for because I don't like them. Oh, Scorsese. Sorry, guys, I'm not a Scorsese fan. I think the only movie of his that I've enjoyed is, like, Wolf of Wall Street and, like, Catch Me If You Can. But it's just not my genre. Right? I like Star Wars, I like Star Trek, I like X-Files, I like science fiction and fantasy, and gangster movies are just not my cup of tea. But I remember him saying something along these lines, and I think it's been, it was received a little bit differently. Now, for those of you that don't know who Roland Emmerich is, well, he's the guy that created a movie that I'm actually a really big fan of, which is Stargate, and, just sprouted the whole Stargate universe, like Stargate SG-1, Atlantis universe, and he's actually working on a reboot of Stargate right now, which is going to come into play a little bit later in this video. But him making this declaration that, Marvel and Star Wars are ruining the industry, I find a little ironic, considering this is the guy that he created Independence Day, right? The big movie that came out, and it's got Will Smith, it's got Jeff Goldblum, they're saving the world from the aliens. But he's also the guy that made the sequel to that movie, that, great, amazing sequel to Independence Day that everybody loved and praised. So in this article that I think is, a little bit, I don't know, I don't know where he's really going with this, but I think what it is that he's upset, which, I mean, I'll link this article in the description, because I read it, and I feel like it's the author, or the writer, I should say, taking liberties on trying to make a few statements a little bit more, I don't know, elaborate, so that way he could write this article. It seems to me basically is that this guy is upset because he's not getting it's not as easy to get funding for his disaster movies, because he's famous for making disaster movies. I think I got his IMDb, we can look it up. So yeah, Independence Day, Godzilla, 1998, Day After Tomorrow, another Independence Day. And so it's like, yeah, he does disaster movies, and he just did this one which was Moonfall, which to be honest, guys, I saw that in the theater. I saw the trailer for it before I saw the Spider-Man movie, and I remember me and my boyfriend, we just looked at each other and we're like, gosh, that looks terrible. Like, it looks so dumb, and we thought at first it was like an aliens movie, and then we're like, oh no, it's the moon. That was a ship, and now it's falling and coming to destroy Earth. Yay. Totally want to see that, right? But I think he's upset because his movie, it was hard for him to get the funding for. It's not as well received. His films aren't as well received as they used to be. And it's not the draw like a Spider-Man movie has, like a Batman movie has, like a Joker movie has, right? And it's harder for, in his words, new creators to, or I guess I shouldn't say new creators because he's been doing this for a long time, but like new stories and new ideas to get made, which he's right about, but I don't think he's I think it's more of a selfish, at least from my interpretation of what I read. I could be completely wrong, but from what I got from this is that he's upset that it's harder for him to get funding for his disaster movies, and the audience aren't as receptive to his films like they used to be. Like the funding, I guess, used to be easier for him. But it's like, yeah, when you're making movies like Independence Day and The Patriot and Stargate, yeah, I can see how people have a little bit more faith in you, but you come out with, you know, some movies that aren't very good, and I can see why you're not getting, the funding's not as readily available as it was back in the past. And I think this is something that happens to certain creators once they've, you know, they've kind of already hit the peak of their career and the stuff that they've made, and they're kind of, you know, on a slump, but they don't realize that, and they get kind of frustrated. I've seen that, and, you know, I'm sure everyone has seen that time and time again, you know, in Hollywood. Heck, there's episodes of, heck, one of the first Twilight Zone episodes was about an actress that, you know, was just living on the idea of her youth, and she didn't want to acknowledge that she was getting older and she couldn't play, you know, the young, beautiful, like, heroine of the story. And I kind of feel like, just based off of what I've read and, you know, from just what I've seen, and then, you know, scrolling through his IMDb and seeing the stuff that he's working on now, at least that's just my little impression of it. And I saw this here on Twitter where, you know, it's just, you know, the little snippet from the article saying nobody does anything original anymore, which I don't think is true. I think that people just like to focus on the big blockbusters, and they don't actually, you know, focus on the little things, which I think he's doing what he's accusing audiences of doing. Like, for instance, I'm a Wes Anderson fan. I love his films. I love the design. I love the setup. And sometimes the story might not necessarily be there, but the fact that the way that Wes Anderson films movies, or his movies, it's a work of art. Every shot is a work of art. So even if you're not captivated by, you know, what the dialogue is or what the actual plot of the film is, just looking at it in itself, there's a story in every image. And so Wes Anderson, every single film he makes is original content. Pixar, every single thing that Pixar does are original story ideas. Pixar does not accept stories from outside of Pixar. The creators and the directors there are the ones that come up with the story. So when you think of any Pixar movie, again, those are stories that have never come from anywhere else. Those were all thought of at Pixar. So those are just two examples for you of original content. And, you know, of original stories that get the funding, that get the marketing. Now, these are the two things that I think are essential for a movie to, you know, be successful nowadays. And I mean, you could have the best story in the world, but if you don't have these two things, it's probably not going to succeed. And those two things are money and marketing. If you don't have those two things, nobody's going to know about your film. And that's why movies like The Batman, like Spider-Man, like the MCU, they have money, and they got the Disney money and the Disney marketing team behind them. So they got both of them. And so if you don't have that, then, I mean, it's not going to make as much as I'm assuming that these people want. Now, one of the things that he mentions in here was Steven Spielberg with West Side Story, or Ridley Scott in his ancient period piece, Sweet Spot via The Last Duel can infamously flop. Now, I haven't seen West Side Story yet, and the reason is I saw West Side Story with Natalie Wood. I don't need to watch that movie again. I don't need to watch that musical again. I don't really like seeing people die like that, if you know what I mean. And so it's not my favorite story in the world, so I just didn't want to watch it. Now, I did watch The Last Duel. Okay, this movie, it's not Ridley Scott's best work at all. I'm going to say that right now. It's okay, and it's one of those movies that if you watch it once, you never need to watch it again. And that's just my opinion. I like the way that he did it from different points of view, and, you know, he took a risk by doing it in kind of an experimental where you're doing the same plot over and over, but you're just doing it from different characters' perspectives. It's an interesting watch, but again, it's not a movie that I think people are gonna, it doesn't have the rewatchability like his other films do. So as far as the flop with that, and then Ridley Scott lashing out, or I'm not sure if it was Ridley Scott, it was somebody on the production that was like, oh, it's just because people are always on their phones, that's why they don't want to see my movie. And it's like, no, you had the money to make it, but I didn't see a single commercial for this movie. The reason I found out about this movie is because I was Christmas shopping at a mall that has a closed, well, is it closed? I don't know. I haven't been in it, but it looked closed when I was walking past it. But it had a big poster for it, and I was like, what is that? And I saw, you know, Ridley Scott, and I was like, Matt Damon and Adam Driver in a Ridley Scott movie? And then I Googled it myself. So, I mean, he had the money, but he didn't, you know, utilize the marketing. I mean, there's some movies that it's like you have no desire to see at all, but they're everywhere and it's in your face every single day, every single ad, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you're scrolling through it and it's just all those ads. I mean, they might be annoying, but that repetition is important to get that in people's heads so that way they'll go and see your movie. And that's a really important tool in, you know, the world that we live in now. It's not, you know, back then where, you know, the movies were, you know, printed in the newspaper and the Times, and I remember doing that with my parents as compared to, you know, just grabbing my phone and, you know, Googling a movie theater or, you know, using an app and, you know, booking my tickets and getting my seat ahead of time. The world is very different, so you need to put a portion of your funding into that marketing so that way people actually know about your movie. And I think that that's something that, you know, maybe old school filmmakers don't necessarily take into account nowadays, and they don't think that are as important. Whereas companies like Disney, you know, that have Marvel, that have Star Wars, that have Pixar, companies like Warner Brothers that have the DC universe, they utilize that. And I feel like more with DC, I feel like a lot of it is mainly their fan base. That look at what they did with getting the Snyder Cut made. That was a fan movement. And guess what? Every single tweet, every single post goes in to basically free publicity. And oh my God, what does that fall under? Marketing. It's amazing. You need money and marketing to make sure that your movie makes money. And guess what? It doesn't even have to be a good movie. If the money goes into, you got the money to make the movie first off, and then you got the marketing down, so people see it on their, you know, social medias, when they're scrolling through their device, they hear it on the radio, they hear it in a commercial, that's going to stick in their brain, and they're going to think about that, and they're probably going to see it, or they're going to know about it, and it can spread through word of mouth. Oh, you saw that commercial? Yeah, I saw the commercial too. It was on my app. It was on your app. Ah! So I think that that's the problem. But with this guy, he had kind of a bad day with, you know, I guess his Moonfall, the premiere kind of got messed up because of the plague that's going on right now, and his, like, party for, like, the premiere of it got screwed up, and so I'll link all those articles down below, but I've kind of ranted on enough about this. But so that's kind of my 2 cents on the situation. Now, people are defending him, but in the reality of it, it's like, dude, you haven't made a good movie, at least in my opinion, in a while. And I'm really worried that the fact that he's going and, you know, saying, oh, nobody's making original content, yet he's doing a reboot of Stargate, which again he did create, but he also created Independence Day, and look at how that lovely sequel went. Anyways, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching this far through. If you liked the video, go ahead and smash the like button. If you didn't, that's okay too, and let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? If so, why? To both. And everyone, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, make sure that you smash the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. Make sure that the bell is set to all. That way you actually get notifications when I do other videos and live streams. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching my channel and my content. And if you would like to support me further, go ahead and check out my Etsy, The Art of Anna, TSWG, where I sell prints of my original oil paintings and drawings. I have a variety of characters, from landscapes to horror villains to Star Wars characters, DC and Marvel. So go check that out, and everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you.